5 years of EOS moments. First moments, of course, Genesis block, June 8th.
So Lovejoy and my friend Mark Bailey got me into all of blockchain, I'd say 2016 through Steemit. And it was more or less like that, which was what eventually led me to getting into EOS. And I was like just such a maxi for it, like when it was still just a rumor. And at the time when the first token distribution began and everything, I think US users were pretty much locked out of that. I just remember having some Steem that I had to more or less convert to Ethereum. And I remember this is my earliest memory of really getting deep into the weeds with where EOS was going to be going. I remember sending a large amount to a smart contract to get ERC20s. And I remember having to run a VPN, and I was convinced, I was like, I'm never going to see this again. Like all this money is going to be gone forever. Because at the time of the process to do that, to claim like these ERC20s to be part of that first token distribution was pretty much just like random Reddit threads. And then like little like smart contract addresses that like really seemed super shady and like it wasn't going to really happen. But it worked, actually. It worked. And I remember when that first token distribution, that was like and still this day, actually, I'm really proud to be on that first zero distribution. And one day in my nerdy retirement age, I'm going to like print that off the chain and off a Block Explorer and just have that up on the wall frame that I was like a part of that first zero distribution.
Very cool. Very cool. Thanks for sharing there, Lars. And as James shared in the chat, would love for you to join us on stage if you can in this thing.
I was trying to find it. There's a picture of us in that house in San Francisco where like everybody is drinking and having beers and wine because there was the go no go call and it was a go. Like I'm stuck at the table trying to merge in commits we had a clone repository from the EOS mainnet that we had to merge all of the original governance documents into and the configurations and all that stuff.
Nathan, I'm searching. I know I have that picture somewhere.
I can't find it anywhere, but there was a lot of really good people that were there from the initial launch. A lot of the BPs were there. A lot of the early community members were there. And in general, that whole Tulip conference was a really exciting experience. So there was a whole bunch of us in that Airbnb, and a lot of them were the BPs. So when that call was happening, they just put it up on the big TV and aimed the camera at the room that we were all sitting in. So it was a really interesting, it felt like some NASA dashboard where you saw all these other people trying to coordinate this launch. And then you were in some kind of like a battle station it was just a really interesting display of people coming together to do something which they thought was incredible.
Yeah, I was there at the Tulip conference, actually. Definitely the most exciting crypto conference I was part of. And it was surreal to me. First time going to California, first time going to San Francisco, first time being surrounded by all these extremely intelligent people working on bleeding edge tech. And I felt in awe of all of these people, and not just the people there in San Francisco, but also, of course, around the world that were coordinating. You mentioned the go or no go call. I think I was at the conference for one of those calls, and I was in a room with a bunch of other people. And I just remember feeling how epic that moment was, surrounded by all these people that had so much hope for the future and a new way of doing things and building things. And yeah, definitely Tulip conference was pretty awesome.
I was hunkered down in a house with Robrigo and Adam Zintarski and Phil and another crew of people in Detroit at the time for the go no go. And yeah, just echoing sentiments of what you just said, Nathan. It was a sight to behold. I wasn't really participating in the technical side. I was doing some filming and stuff and just writing and observing everything that was happening, but it just felt such a monumental coordination event across the whole globe. It felt like a very special moment in history at the time. So very cool to be a part of.
There's a lot of people having a great time, and I was like, oh, we got to get our nodes ready. And at the time I was doing all the node operations. So I was just at the place we were staying, trying to make sure everything was ready.
So I have a story for you, actually. So we didn't know what would be the mainnet. In fact, we actually thought that there would be multiple mainnets in the start. So the first version of Scatter and most other wallets had to be built with the ability to have unknown chains added to it, unknown networks. We ended up actually launching with only one network, which was very different than what most of us expected. We thought that there was going to be at least 2 or 3 which would try to fight for each other, and then some exchange would come in and say, hey, you know what, this is the network, right? Because the exchanges would ultimately decide which token would be listed. But it was like the first day that a network went live, everybody jumped on board and was like, all right, this is EOS, and the exchanges instantly listed it, and not instantly, but very quickly thereafter. And then in Scatter, we had to go, and this is why I was sleeping on that couch after 2 days of just being awake, was because I was doing support basically for most of the community, because all of the voting dApps had to use Scatter because it was the only wallet at the time that you could use decentralized applications with. And we had to explain to everybody how to go in and add this network, which was now the mainnet. We were doing like patch fixes to try to add the network manually, but it wasn't installing for everybody because Chrome extensions need time to be verified. And it was crazy. And there was like 20,000 people in the EOS group just all ready to get online and vote and put their word down on who should be the BPs. And that whole voting process was, I think, something that nobody had really seen in Web3 or blockchains in general at that point. So it was also very novel.